Sabbath 38, Torah portion, Balaq, which means Devastator in Hebrew. From the priestly order, Division 24, Ma'aziah. 1 Chronicles chapter 24, verse 18. From the Torah, we have Numbers chapter 22, verse 2, through chapter 25, verse 9.
And Balaq the son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous, and Moab was in dread of the sons of Israel. Then Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this assembly will lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field." And Balaq the son of Zippor was king of Moab at that time. So he sent messengers to Balaam the son of Beor at Pethor, which is near the river, in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "Behold, a people came out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the surface of the land, and they are settled opposite me. So now, please come, curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I may be able to strike them down and drive them out of the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian went away with the fees for divination in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spoke Balak's words to him. And he said to them, "Spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as Yahweh may speak to me." And the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balaq the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent word to me, Behold, there is a people who came out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now come, curse them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them out." And God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." So Balaam arose in the morning and said to Balak's leaders, "Go back to your land, for Yahweh has refused to allow me to go with you." And the leaders of Moab arose and came to Balak and said, "Balaam refused to go with us." Then Balak again sent leaders, more numerous and more honorable than the former. And they came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus says Balaq the son of Zippor, Let nothing, I beg you, withhold you from coming to me, for I will indeed honor you richly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Please come then, curse this people for me." And Balaam replied to the servants of Balak, "Though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, either small or great, to trespass the command of Yahweh my God. So now, please, you also stay here tonight, and I will know what else Yahweh will speak to me." And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, "If the men have come to call you, rise up and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you shall you do." So Balaam arose in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the leaders of Moab. But God was angry because he was going, so the angel of Yahweh took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. Now he was riding on his donkey, and his 2 young men were with him. Then the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and the donkey turned off from the way and went into the field, so Balaam struck the donkey to turn it back into the way. Then the angel of Yahweh stood in a narrow path of the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. And the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh, and it pressed itself to the wall and pressed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck it again. And the angel of Yahweh passed on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn to the right hand or the left. Then the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh and lay down under Balaam, so Balaam was angry and struck the donkey with his stick. And Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times? Then Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have made a mockery of me. If there had been a sword in my hand, I would have killed you by now." And the donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your donkey on which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I ever been accustomed to do so to you?" And he said, "No." Then Yahweh opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head down and prostrated himself to the ground. And the angel of Yahweh said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out as an adversary because your way was contrary to me." And the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If it had not turned aside from me, I would surely have killed you just now and let it live. And Balaam said to the angel of Yahweh, I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the way against me. So now, if it is evil in your sight, I will turn back. But the angel of Yahweh said to Balaam, Go with the men, but you shall speak only the word which I tell you. So Balaam went along with the leaders of Balak. Then Balak heard that Balaam was coming and went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the Arnon border, at the end of the border. Then Balak said to Balaam, Did I not urgently send to you to call you? Why did you not come to me? Am I indeed unable to honor you? So Balaam said to Balak, Behold, I have come now to you. Am I able to speak anything at all? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath-Huzoth. And Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep, and sent some to Balaam and the leaders who were with him. Then it happened in the morning that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high places of Baal, and he saw from there the end of the camp of the people. Then Balaam said to Balak, Build 7 altars for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. So Balak did just as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, Stand beside your burnt offering, and I will go. Perhaps Yahweh will come to meet me, and whatever he shows me I will tell you. So he went to a bare hill. Now God met Balaam, and he said to him, I have set up the 7 altars, and I have offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Yahweh put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, Return to Balak, and you shall speak thus. So he returned to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, he and all the leaders of Moab. Then he took up his discourse and said, From Aram, Balak has brought me, Moab's king from the mountains of the east. Come curse Jacob for me, and come, denounce Israel. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? And how can I denounce whom Yahweh has not denounced? For I see him from the top of the rocks, and I look at him from the hills. Behold, a people who dwells alone, and will not be reckoned among the nations. Who can number the dust of Jacob, or count the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let my end be like his. Then Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, but behold, you have blessed them repeatedly. And he replied, Must I not be careful to speak what Yahweh puts in my mouth? Then Balak said to him, Please come with me to another place from where you may see them, but you will only see the end of them and will not see all of them, and curse them for me from there. So he took him to the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. And he said to Balak, Stand here beside your burnt offering while I myself meet Yahweh over there. Then Yahweh met Balaam and put a word in his mouth and said, Return to Balak, and thus you shall speak. So he came to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, and the leaders of Moab with him. And Balak said to him, What has Yahweh spoken? Then he took up his discourse and said, Arise, O Balak, and hear. Give ear to me, O son of Zippor. God is not a man, that he should lie, nor a son of man, that he should repent. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not establish it? Behold, I have received a command to bless. When he has blessed, then I cannot revoke it. He has not observed misfortune in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble in Israel. Yahweh his God is with him, and the shout of a king is among them. God brings them out of Egypt, he is for them like the horns of the wild ox. For there is no omen against Jacob, nor is there any divination against Israel. At the proper time it shall be said to Jacob and to Israel, what God has done. Behold, a people rises like a lioness, and as a lion it lifts itself. It will not lie down until it devours the prey, and drinks the blood of the slain. Then Balak said to Balaam, Do not curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam replied to Balak, Did I not tell you, saying, Whatever Yahweh speaks, that I must do? Then Balak said to Balaam, Please come, I will take you to another place, perhaps it will be right in the eyes of God that you curse them for me from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. And Balaam said to Balak, "Build 7 altars for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here." And Balak did just as Balaam had said, and offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. And Balaam saw that it was good in the eyes of Yahweh to bless Israel, so he did not go as at other times to encounter omens, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel dwelling tribe by tribe, and the Spirit of God came upon him. Then he took up his discourse and said, "The oracle of Balaam the son of Beor, and the oracle of the man whose eye is uncovered. The oracle of him who hears the words of God, who beholds the vision of the Almighty, falling down, yet having his eyes opened. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel! Like valleys that stretch out, like gardens beside the river, like aloes planted by Yahweh, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from his buckets, and his seed will be by many waters, and his king shall be lifted up higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brings him out of Egypt, he is for him like the horns of the wild ox. He will devour the nations who are his adversaries, and will gnaw their bones in pieces, and shatter them with his arrows. He crouches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who dares rouse him? Blessed is everyone who blesses you, and cursed is everyone who curses you." Then Balak's anger burned against Balaam, and he struck his hands together. And Balak said to Balaam, "I called you to curse my enemies, but behold, you have blessed them repeatedly these 3 times. So now, flee to your place. I said I would honor you greatly, but behold, Yahweh has held you back from honor." And Balaam said to Balak, "Did I not tell your messengers whom you had sent to me, saying, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything to trespass the command of Yahweh, either good or bad, of my own accord? What Yahweh speaks, that I will speak. So now, behold, I am going to my people. Come, and I will advise you what this people will do to your people in the last days." Then he took up his discourse and said, "The oracle of Balaam the son of Beor, and the oracle of the man whose eye is uncovered, the oracle of him who hears the words of God, and knows the knowledge of the Most High, who beholds the vision of the Almighty, falling down, yet having his eyes opened. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come forth from Jacob, a scepter shall rise from Israel, and shall crush through the forehead of Moab, and tear down all the sons of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession, Seir, its enemies, also will be a possession, while Israel performs valiantly. And one from Jacob shall have dominion, and will make the survivor perish from the city." Then he looked at Amalek and took up his discourse and said, "Amalek was the first of the nations, but his end shall be destruction." Then he looked at the Kenite and took up his discourse and said, "Your habitation is enduring, and your nest is set in the cliff. Nevertheless Cain will be consumed. How long will Ashur keep you captive?" Then he took up his discourse and said, "Woe, who can live except when God has ordained it? But ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and they shall afflict Ashur and will afflict Eber, so they also will come to destruction." Then Balaam arose and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way. And Israel remained at Shittim, and the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. Indeed, they called the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. So Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel. And Yahweh said to Moses, "Take all who are the heads of the people and execute them in broad daylight before Yahweh, so that the burning anger of Yahweh may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Each of you kill his men who have joined themselves to Baal of Peor." Then behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought near to his brothers a Midianite woman, in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the sons of Israel, while they were weeping at the doorway of the tent of meeting. And Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it. So he arose from the midst of the congregation and took a spear in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and pierced both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman, through the body. Then the plague on the sons of Israel was checked. So those who died by the plague were 24,000.
From the prophet portion, we have the prophet Micah, chapter 5, verse 7, through chapter 6, verse 8. Then the remnant of Jacob will be among many peoples, like dew from Yahweh, like showers on vegetation, which do not hope for man, or wait for the sons of men. Then the remnant of Jacob will be among the nations, among many peoples, like a lion among the beasts of the forest, like a young lion among flocks of sheep, which if it passes through tramples down and tears, and there is none to deliver. Your hand will be raised up against your adversaries, and all your enemies will be cut off. And it will be in that day, declares Yahweh, that I will cut off your horses from among you, and destroy your chariots. And I will cut off the cities of your land, and pull down all your fortifications. And I will cut off sorceries from your hand, and you will have soothsaying no more. And I will cut off your graven images and your sacred pillars from among you, so that you will no longer worship the work of your hands. And I will uproot your Asherim from among you, and eradicate your cities. And I will execute vengeance and anger and wrath on the nations which have not listened. Listen now to what Yahweh is saying. Arise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills listen to your voice. Listen, you mountains, to the case of Yahweh, and you enduring foundations of the earth, because Yahweh has a case against his people. Even with Israel he will reprove. My people, what have I done to you? And how have I wearied you? Answer me. Indeed, I brought you up from the land of Egypt, and ransomed you from the house of slavery. And I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. My people, remember now what Balaq, king of Moab, counseled, and what Balaam, son of Beor, answered him, and from Shittim to Gilgal, so that you might know the righteous acts of Yahweh. With what shall I come before Yahweh and bow myself before the God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with yearling calves? Is Yahweh pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does Yahweh require of you but to do justice, to love loving kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? From the Renewed Covenant, we have the book of Romans, chapter 10. Brothers and sisters, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for the Israelites is that they may be saved. For I can testify about them that they are zealous for Elohim, but their zeal is not based on knowledge, since they did not know the righteousness of Elohim and sought to establish their own. They did not submit to the righteousness of Elohim. Messiah is the confirmation of the law, so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. Moses writes this about the righteousness that is by the law. The person who does these things will live by them. But the righteousness that is by faith says, do not say in your heart, who will ascend into heaven? That is to bring Messiah down. Or who will descend into the deep? That is to bring Messiah up from the dead. But what does it say? The word is near you, it is in your mouth and in your heart. That is the message concerning faith that we proclaim. If you declare with your mouth that Yeshua is Yahweh, and believe in your heart that Yahweh raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved. As Scripture says, anyone who believes in him will never be put to shame. But there is no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all and richly blesses all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. But not all the Israelites accepted the good news. For Isaiah says, Lord, who has believed our message? Consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word about Messiah. But I ask, did they not hear? Of course they did. Their voice has gone out into all the earth, their words to the end of the world. Again I ask, did Israel not understand? First, Moses says, I will make you envious by those who are not a nation, and I will make you angry by a nation that has no understanding. And Isaiah boldly says, I was found by those who did not seek me. I revealed myself to those who did not ask for me. But concerning Israel, he says, all day long I have held out my hands to a disobedient and obstinate people.